So, what are we even talking about when we say psychological trauma? Look, it's not just about feeling a little sad or stressed. We're talking about a real deep-seated emotional response to an incredibly difficult or disturbing event. Think about it like this. Your mind is wired to protect you. When something bad happens, your brain kicks into survival mode. But sometimes, when the experience is just too overwhelming, it can leave a mark on your psyche, a scar that can linger long after the event itself is over. We're talking about things like physical, emotional, or sexual abuse. We're talking about neglect. We're talking about witnessing violence, being in a serious accident, or living through a natural disaster. These are experiences that can leave you feeling terrified, helpless, and completely out of control. And the thing is, trauma doesn't always show up in big, obvious ways. Sometimes it's the little things that set you off. A sound, a smell, a certain place. It's like your body remembers the trauma even when your mind tries to forget. Now, I know this can be tough to hear, but it's important to remember that you're not alone. Trauma is more common than you think, and there's absolutely no shame in seeking help. Now, let's dig into what can actually cause psychological trauma, and let me tell you, the list is long and it's varied. First and foremost, we've got abuse. And I'm talking about all forms of abuse, physical, emotional, sexual. These are experiences that violate your boundaries, your sense of safety, your very being. They can leave deep wounds that impact your ability to trust, to form healthy relationships, to feel safe in the world. Then there's neglect. And neglect isn't just about not having enough food or clothes, it's about not getting your basic emotional needs met. It's about growing up feeling unseen, unheard, unimportant. And that, my friends, can be just as damaging as any physical blow. But trauma isn't always interpersonal. Sometimes it's about experiencing or witnessing something terrifying and out of your control. We're talking about car accidents, natural disasters, acts of violence. These are events that can shatter your sense of security and leave you feeling vulnerable and afraid. And here's the thing about trauma. It's not a one-size-fits-all experience. What might be traumatic for one person might not be for another. It all depends on your individual history, your coping mechanisms, your support system. Chapter 3. The Ripple Effect. How trauma impacts your life. Trauma doesn't just disappear when the event is over. It can impact your mental and physical health, your relationships, your work. You might experience shock, anger, sadness, anxiety, trouble sleeping, concentrating, feeling numb. Long-term issues like PTSD, anxiety, depression can develop. But with the right support, you can heal and reclaim your life. Chapter 4. Trauma and Disability. An Unseen Connection. Now let's talk about a connection that many people don't even realize exists. The link between trauma and disability.